Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kay. Today I'm bringing you a bookshelf tour. So I've been on BookTube about a year and I have not done a bookshelf tour. So I've gotten a couple questions about how I choose books, what books I have, how I organize them, kind of, that kind of thing. So I thought I would take this opportunity to talk about it a little bit and then go through my shelves. If you've seen my introduction video, I source my books from the library. I'm super fortunate that my local library is part of a consortium, so I do live in like rural northern Indiana, but my library is connected to like a bunch of libraries throughout the state. So if another library has the book, I can put it on hold and they will mail it to my library and then I can pick it up. And then when I'm done with it, I just take it back to my library. They send it back. Super convenient. In my case, extremely fortunate because my library has a very sad selection of SFF. I have requested books, so they have purchased some more, but the overall collection is just not great, and come to find out it's because nobody on the staff reads sci-fi and fantasy. So it all makes sense now. So I do get all of my books from the library. I used to buy a lot of books. A few years ago, I would go to like Goodwill and half-price books and yard sales and things like that, and I would buy a lot of books. I was getting them for $1 or $3 or whatever, and yeah, they'd be in like a lot of the times kind of shitty condition, but I had all these books. I had like 700 books. I had only read a couple hundred of them probably. And then I moved and was like, this sucks, so I got rid of quite a few before I moved. And then I got into my apartment and had to move 20 printer paper boxes full of books and some bags of books, and was like, this is excessive. I got them all, like, at the time I had my shelves up in my bedroom. And I was just like, I had my shelves filled, plus there were just stacks of books, and it was way too much. It was kind of stressful, and then I'm looking at these books and it's like, I don't even want to read most of these, and I still have them, but I've spent all this money on all these books, and finally I just like KonMari'd my books, and I got rid of the vast majority of them. I was left with roughly 200 unread books, down from like 400, 500. So then I was kind of like, okay, that's a bit better. And then over the next 6 months, maybe a year, I ended up getting rid of pretty much all of those as well. I did read a few of them, but just ultimately was like, I don't even really want to read any of these. A lot of these are like banged up, nasty mass market paperbacks. Anyway, I wouldn't want to keep them. Even if I did enjoy them, I wouldn't keep them because they're just so tore up. So I ended up getting rid of a lot of those, and that left me with books that I had read. I went through those and got rid of the ones that, a lot of like YA that I had read years previously, books that I enjoyed but didn't really want to reread or didn't enjoy that much, till I was really left with a true collection of books. So all the books that I had left then were books that I really enjoyed, planned on rereading or had reread already 2 or 3 times. And then I made the decision I wouldn't buy any more books unless I'd already read it and then really enjoyed it. And then the books that I did buy, I wanted to buy desirable copies. So, covers, preferred covers, whether that's a UK edition. I have a couple of Australian editions. Alternate US editions, whatever. Mostly trade paperback. I have a few hardback. It just depends on the size of the book, because I don't like a really huge, like, heavy hardback. So a lot of the times I have mostly, I think I have mostly trade paperback. I have a few mass market, but that's not my preferred format. So whenever I can, if I had mass market of something, I've tried to replace it since then. So yeah, my library really functions as a collection. Not only are these stories that I enjoy, but also they are visually appealing to me. I'm a graphic designer. I'm big on aesthetics. So and especially like book covers or things like, you know, gilded pages or really nice end pages, end papers or whatever. Just, there's something about it, like, that's where my heart lies. So sometimes I will spend a little bit extra on an edition that is really beautiful. And so as I go through my books, I will point out any of those kind of special edition ones that I have picked up, and I'll try to point out kind of maybe why I have some of the books that I do, why some of them are my favorites, etc. So let's jump into the tour. Okay, so here is a wide view of my living room. So when you first come in the door, this is what you see. Focal point clearly on the books. That's usually where I sit to film, so you've seen parts of those shelves. We're gonna start on the other side. Hopefully the lighting's gonna work. It's kind of evening and I don't have great lighting in here anyway, so I'm using my box light from across the room. All right, up top you can just barely see the hilt of a Lord of the Rings inspired sword, which was a gift. It's gonna hang up on this wall here-ish at some point someday. Top shelf, left top. Donkey skull, various bird skulls, sitting on a complete guide to birds. You will see that the skull decor is a running theme in my living room. Next shelf down is my Song of Ice and Fire shelf. So I just recently finished a reread of Song of Ice and Fire, like, main books. I picked these up fairly recently, and this one I have not actually read them yet. I'll get around to it sometime. This is a little card of a White Walker on a White Walker horse. That came with the DVDs from, I think, the first season of Game of Thrones. And then this is a mini print that came with an enamel pin order from the Etsy shop Rather Keen, which I will link down below. They tossed it in with my order for free, so very cool. Next shelf down, I have, this is the King Raven trilogy by Stephen R. Lawhead. I've read these books, first read them, I don't know how long ago, many years. And I got through like the first two and then had never finished the third one. So I reread them a few years ago. They were still good. It's a Robin Hood retelling, takes place in Wales, so it's a bit more like historical fantasy. It's got a cat skull sitting on top, a raven mask, and then next to it is my Brom collection. I did a dedicated video on Brom that I will link down below as well. Favorite one was A Child Thief, which is a Peter Pan retelling. He does like dark fantasy. First one I ever read was Krampus. He is an artist as well as an author. So there are illustrations inside his books. In fact, Plucker, which is kind of like dark Toy Story because the toys are alive, is fully illustrated. So yeah, you have that. This is my homemade voodoo doll that I did for college. We had to do a project in one of my graphic design classes. It was like a how-to guide. And so I did a voodoo it yourself kit, and it was instructions on how to make a little voodoo doll. And so I made him. And then this fun Sphinx I got at a yard sale. The woman practically begged me to buy it. It was her husband's and they'd had it and she hated it and was like, if I don't sell this, like it's going, like he's keeping it. It's gonna go back in my house. I can't have this go back in my house. So I got it for a few dollars. I've had it for years, probably, I don't know, seven years probably. Next shelf, my Outlander shelf. So we have most of the main books in trade paperback. I have all the books that are out in mass market. I am missing a couple, I think, in trade paperback. And then I have these three. These are all short stories set in the Outlander universe. The Outlandish Companion, there's 2 volumes. This is the first one, and it has like a bunch of stuff by the author, behind the scenes stuff of like how she was writing them, but it also has summaries of the books. So this first one I think has the first 4 books in it, and I may end up reading those whenever the new book is coming out, rather than rereading the whole series because it's really long. And I haven't read it since like 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. I don't remember if I reread all of them before the last book came out. Probably did. And these are various pieces of movable type that I got at a Lit Fest up in Chicago a few years ago, because movable type is cool. Next shelf, memoirs and a biography, Tolkien biography. I first read all these top ones on audiobook. Highly recommend. Anyone who's a fan of The Princess Bride should definitely listen to As You Wish by Carrie Ellis. It is a memoir about the making of Princess Bride. It's excellent. Simon Pegg, hilarious. Lauren Graham, Gilmore Girls. Trevor Noah, hilarious, but also like his story is just kind of sad because he's born in South Africa during apartheid. He was literally born a crime because his father is white and interracial relationships were like illegal. And then Grey's Anatomy fans. Then over here is my little hodgepodge. I have Pride and Prejudice. This is an older paperback that I came across in a used bookstore, and I like the cover, so I bought it. Yikes. And then I also have The Historian, which I need to reread to see if I like. It's like Dracula, Devil in the White City, Serial Killers, Water for Elephants, Circus. Also a really good movie that I highly enjoy. If you're wondering what this is, these are pennies that have been cleaned with salt and vinegar. My daughter and I and my mom and her boyfriend are going to Universal Studios in Orlando next December, so 2021, and they have penny press machines, which I just found out. I didn't know that the last time I went. So that's going to be something that we're going to do, is press a bunch of pennies. So those are all the pennies that we've collected and cleaned. Bottom shelf here, picture books. So these ones here, these upright ones, are all mine. These are the inspiration for the animated movie Rise of the Guardians that I love. Gorgeous art. If the covers give you any hint, the interior art is just as beautiful. The Gruff Lone Room and the Broom, animated on Netflix. Really cute, kind of fun for Halloween. This Is Not My Hat is the first in the Hat trilogy. Came across this at the Strand in New York City a few years ago when we went there on vacation, me and my mom, for a long weekend, and my sister, and it was really funny. I love the ending, and then I got it for Christmas. And then these two here are signed by the author. She came to the library in a nearby city, and we got them signed. These down here were my daughter's favorites. So Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, Maisie at the Fair, the Harold and the Purple Crayon books. She's currently really into the Shel Silverstein poetry books. And these are bits of her art. Can you guess what her favorite colors at the time were? Yeah, pink and blue. And then over here is our quarters for our penny press machines, and the bank, Hogwarts Express Bank, that we are saving up spending money for our vacation in. We just recently emptied it, so we're on round number 2. Now, next shelf, up top, Deer Skull. Old books that I have never read. They're kind of just there for looks. Leather-bound editions of Jane Austen. I've read both of these. I've read Emma, and I have read Pride and Prejudice. So I've never read Northanger Abbey or Lady Susan. I've also never read Mansfield Park, but that's not included in this set. The only one I really like is Pride and Prejudice. Sense and Sensibility and Persuasion were okay. Hated Emma, hated it. If I ever start running out of shelf space, this will probably be a set of books that will end up going away. But for now, it's up there looking pretty, making me look super smart and stuff. Next shelf down, this is kind of a hodgepodge shelf that I'm not super happy with, but I haven't figured out where else to put these or how to organize them. Mostly I organize by author and genre. As you've kind of seen here, it's mostly been author so far, but this is like a hodgepodge of books. So you have the Immortal Empire trilogy, which is super fun. Steampunk, urban fantasy. There's vampires and werewolves, and it's a good time. It's kind of campy, but I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Then here's some of my, these are special ones. These are Australian editions of Sixth World by Rebecca Roanhorse. They're beautiful, and I hope they continue to do this style for any forthcoming books, because I will definitely buy them. I had to get them off of like eBay. They were not easy to get my hands on, but I did manage. Urban fantasy here as well. Vampire, she's a thief. No paranormal romance, which is big points there. Some Neil Gaiman. These three here are illustrated by Chris Riddell, which is, I really enjoy his illustrations. My favorite Neil Gaiman probably is Graveyard Book. Then I have books 1 and 2 of the David Bad. I plan on getting the third one. These are the UK editions. I just, especially for the first book, I liked the cover better. So I got these sets, this set. Heist book, super fun. Books 2 and 3, not so great. Jacoby, I have a dedicated video about that series that I will link. Sherlock retelling, good times. Next shelf is not books. These are my book sleeves that are from various Etsy shops. My favorite one being these watercolor dragons that are so cute. I have a Coraline one that I'm not super happy about because they whitewashed Wybie. Then I have a Quibbler, and then this is Darker Shade of Magic. Not super pleased with this one because it's really floppy. It's not very structured. Bookmark collection. Piece of art that my friend gave me in college. My first ever book review column at the newspaper I work at. And this egg that I recently painted with my daughter. We were painting eggs, and I went Halloween themed because we love Halloween. It doesn't have a stand right now. Next one down, some YA. Over here you have the Abortion Old Kingdom books. I've read these 3. Haven't read the other ones yet. Whoops. Then over here is my Amelia Atwater Rhodes collection. Vampires, shapeshifters, witches of various kinds. Hunters is very cool. These are like separate series. So like this is a series, this is a trilogy. This is the original quartet for the Den of Shadows. And then yeah, like a continuation, but they all take place in the same world. These ones take place in the far past, but the rest of these mostly are in the kind of same time frame, sort of. Really good. Started reading them, the first original quartet, back in middle school. So, and I've read them since, and they still hold up for me. Not your traditional YA. Most of them are more like novella length, so they're quick reads. I highly suggest giving them a try. I really, really enjoy them. Next shelf down, more like middle grade YA. Inkheart. The Graceling companion novels. Those I don't know if I'll end up keeping. I haven't reread them in a while. And then my Celia Reese books, which I also have not read in quite a while. I used to really love them, but I don't know if I still would. I don't know. They'll be reread at some point. And then down here, my Harry Potter shelf. I have the illustrated editions. An illustrated edition of Fantastic Beasts. Back here, that's the Hogwarts Library, so it's Quidditch Through the Ages, Tales of Beedle the Bard, Fantastic Beasts, and they're not really leather bound, but they're like hardback, and they're pretty, and I got them at a half off day. Printed out version of the Quibbler from a Harry Potter event at a local library. My original hardbacks from way back in the day. Another mini print from Rather Keen that came with an enamel pin order. This is a keychain that my daughter gave me for Christmas last year. Chocolate Frog card from Universal. The box is back there. Hogwarts Express tickets. There are 2 of them, also from Universal. They were like $10, so they were one of the cheaper souvenirs that you could get. Coins. I bought those online. You can get them from the park, but they were more expensive. And then that right there is the little envelope thing that they give you because you can exchange money at the bank. And it's spendable in the park. So that was kind of neat. Also, there's a Thestral because that's my absolute favorite magical creature is a Thestral. And then over here we have some coffee table books. I'm super into maps, so these are both maps. Portraits and little blurbs on fantasy authors. That's Neil Gaiman on the cover. Like I said, Brahm is also an artist, and this is a book of his art. Yeah, so now that's this side. We're gonna go to the other side now. Okay, like I said, this is the side that you guys usually see. This here is a heater, but that's where I put my library books so that I don't lose them, because I'm a responsible library patron. Up there are a bunch of prints that I have not hung up on my wall. I have lived here 3 years. I don't have shit hanging on my walls. Top shelf, various woodland ephemera. This is from the Gulf of Mexico my sister brought back when they went to Texas. But other than that, it's just stuff that I found out in the woods. So a knot from a tree, a skull. I don't remember what kind of skull that is. Some feathers, some snail shells, rocks, little bitty pine cones, acorns, you know. And in here, a mummified mouse, and the rib cage and wing bones of like a sparrow, I think. Over here, Brandon Sanderson. I'm working on getting all of these replaced with hardbacks to go with these. For now, they're still mass markets. Copper pieces. If you've read Mistborn, you get it. Mistborn coins. So these are from Shire Post Mint. Very cool. There are more. I'm going to get more of them. Still need to get that in trade paperback. Still need to read it. This came with the coins. So it's like a letter from the Canton of Finance. And then this is the UK edition, Skyward, because it was better than the US edition. The US edition wasn't terrible. I mean, I saw a lot of people like totally trashing it. It's not that bad. The UK edition is just better. Now the next two shelves are some ladies of SFF. N.K. Jemisin, the best anthology I've ever read. I liked every single story in here. This is the first books that I read by N.K. Jemisin. Very good. Dreamblood Duology is my favorite N.K. Jemisin. Both were a little slow getting started, but I really ended up enjoying them and enjoying the magic system. And then the 5th season, which is like the most popular Jemisin. I still really liked it, but I like Dreamblood better. That is a chipmunk skull, which was a gift, and so is this sparkly rock. Then we have Erin Morgenstern. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition of The Starless Sea. As you can tell, absolutely beautiful. Didn't like the regular UK edition, and the US edition was fine, but it was kind of boring. I made my own die, inspired by the ones in the book. There's also an old-fashioned key. So if you've read it, you know. And then one of my favorite books that I own, it's a special edition of The Night Circus. It's a UK edition. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I do not like the regular cover. Like, don't like it at all. Here's the back. Back's pretty too. I don't like the original cover at all. So when I found this, like I found a picture of it online and was like, is that an actual one you can buy? And sure enough, there's like another version of it that has blue on it, but I like this version better. And then this is a Frostbeard candle. They have bookish inspired candles. And then some more ladies. We've got the Schwab. These are the special editions. I got them off Amazon, like the collector's editions of all three. These are the UK hardbacks of Vicious and Vengeful. It's like a textured paper. I don't know, you can't really see, you can kind of see the texture on it. Way better than any of the other covers I've seen. That kind of stark black and white with the red text, like, wonderful. I only have Down Among the Sticks and Bones for the Wayward Children. Love the series. Still working on getting the rest. fairy tale retellings, Rumpelstiltskin and Beauty and the Beast, loose retellings. This was a pain in the ass to get. I only recently found it, finally. It was like a third-party seller on Amazon that I was able to get it from for less. I mean, it was still like too much, but way less than what was on eBay. Apparently it's out of print. This is a Matryoshka doll I got from Chicago at the Chris Kindle Market 3 or 4 years ago, I think. There's a stall that just sells Matryoshka dolls. Coyote skull, bat skull. Bat skull came from Cleveland Curiosities, where I went last October on vacation. Super cool shop. Memoirs of Lady Trent, absolute beautiful covers. I don't want to move the skull too much because it'll come apart, but yikes. Super pretty, like anatomical drawings. And then some other Marie Brennan Tor.com novellas, la-di-da. Down here we've got the craft sequence. No one talks about this series. It's awesome. You have gods, you have lawyers who have learned how to do magic and they've battled and largely overthrown the gods. That's right, I said lawyers. Magic works based on contracts. It's so cool. So you have various, and they're all like chronologically out of order, which is neat. Yeah, that's a gargoyle. Yep. So like right now they're in publication order, but if you look at the numbers and the titles, that's the chronological order. So chronologically, the first one is actually this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Biggest disappointment was when they did this for the 6th and final book. They went from that, hardback, that illustration style for the cover, to this. Only available in paperback. Still beautiful, but it doesn't match, and it's upsetting. My fellow obsessive people will understand. Yard sale find. This also came from the Chris Kindle Market a couple years ago, not the same time as the Matryoshka doll. It's made out of wood. It's beautiful and wonderful, and I love it. Tarot deck based off of American traditional tattoo style. And then Red Rising. I'm missing Iron Gold. Bummer. This is like an anniversary edition or something that was from Barnes & Noble. It's got a wonderful like texture, and then the red is foil. Super cool. If they come out with like the other ones in that edition, I probably will end up getting them. All right, and then the last shelf up top, we got Freddy. We're big Queen fans in this house. And then that is a watercolor painting I did back in college for one of my illustration classes. It was supposed to be more like whale-like, but it kind of turned out more dinosaur-like, so it's fine. Then we've got Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. That is the 50th anniversary leather-bound edition. That's all foil embossing, came in that slipcase. Couple Legos, Gollum and Shelob. Sketchbook by Alan Lee. He is one of the foremost Tolkien illustrators. He worked on the movie as like a conceptual artist along with Howard Shore. Or no, not Howard Shore. My bad. That was the composer. The other guy who I can see, and I can't remember his name. He was into swords. Then we have Sci-Fi. The Expanse. Love it. Space opera. Favorite. We've got Scalzi. I love the lock-in head-on series. There's only the 2 plus the novella. I kind of hope he has more because those were really fun. I need to reread Jurassic Park and Lost World. I only have the one right now. Murderbot, love. I have all the novellas. Still need to get Network Effect, the full-length novel. Read it earlier this year and it was really good. Looking forward to something telemetry next year. And then I have my graphic novels. My favorite is East of West, which is like Western, apocalyptic, really cool. There's a couple more volumes out that I haven't read yet. I've got Pretty Deadly, which is also like a Western fantasy type thing, deals with death as well. I didn't like volumes 2 and 3 really, but volume 1 was really good. Witches is horror, Descender, I don't have them all, and then Ascender. Also sci-fi, robots, very cool. Dollhouse is based off of, it's like the continuation of the Joss Whedon show that only got 2 seasons and then was cut short, kind of like Firefly, only nobody talks about Dollhouse, and it was really good, and it had Eliza Dushku, and, you know, it was so good. So this is kind of like wrapping it up, I guess. It was tragic. And then the last bit of books I have are my Tim Burton books. So The Art of Tim Burton, which was Gift, Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy, and then The Napkin Art of Tim Burton. The Art of Tim Burton is expensive, but it's so cool. I love just looking through it. And then you may have noticed behind the chair are some books. Those are my old editions, mass market paperbacks, whatever, that have since been replaced on my shelves. But I keep them so that if I am going somewhere and need to take a book, I don't have to take my nice copy. I can take one of these, and if it gets bent or beat up or whatever, something happens to it, it's not a big deal. Or I can lend it out if somebody wants to borrow it. I'll lend them one of these, and then that way, if they inevitably dump something on it or something, or I never get it back, it's not a big deal. And in the wide shot, you may have noticed there were books under the chair, and those are books destined for half-price books to be sold. But they're not like taking walk-in, like selling. You have to set up an appointment, and I just haven't got around to it yet. So that is my bookshelf tour, and basically my living room tour, because this is the entirety of my living room right here. My couch, some sofa shelves that a friend of mine and I made, another shelf for plants that I've managed to kill all but one of. It's currently living outside at the moment because it's nice out. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, so that is my book collection. That's all I've got for today. So thanks for sticking around. Comment down below. Let me know how you organize your books, how you decide which books to buy, if you're somebody that has like a physical TBR, if you enjoy having, you know, piles and piles of books sitting around waiting to be read. Just let me know how you decide which books become part of your collection, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!